Welcome to Healthbeat, where we take the pulse of South Africa's healthcare system. I'm Mia Malan. Somewhere on your social media feed right now, someone is probably holding up a vial promising dramatic weight loss.
Then we have the very, very popular one, the one that I am bombarded with every single hour, the Retta. It has enough power in the pen to get you rid of all the fatty areas in your body.
They may call it Rita or research peptide. And that sounds scientific until you remember it's being sold on social media.
Joburg GP Tracy Nelwamondo has built her practice around treating obesity with medicines that work where dieting and exercise often don't. For Tracy, the hope they bring is personal.
Dokotela ene ndi munthu ane ndikuchira na ulwadze ha muviri.
I graduated from medical school 2011. Anybody who graduated or who qualified medicine in 2011 did not get taught obesity medicine. Even now, there isn't really any formal training of obesity. This is just because it's an evolving space.
GLP-1 medicines developed for diabetes 2 decades ago and became commercially available in 2005. But they did something else too. They helped people feel full sooner and for longer. That made them powerful weight loss drugs. The diabetes medicine Ozempic, which contains semaglutide, became so sought after that by 2023, the world ran dry. That shortage opened a back door.
So my journey started in November 2023. I was 93 kilograms, so my BMI was 33, which is considered obese.
Health science communicator Beth Amato was sold a version of Ozempic by a neighbor. Not in a pen, not from a pharmacy shelf, and not something she could easily check.
The label has said called Izempic. It was a compound one, so you had to mix it yourself.
No one really could tell what they were compounding it with. So there was no sort of checks and balances, and I was just concerned for my health.
The medicine changed her life.
It felt like a missing piece in my life. I had battled so long with my weight and food issues, and this felt like finally there was medical help for it that I never thought would ever exist.
Then came tirzepatide, a shot that targets 2 of the body's hunger and blood sugar signals, not just one, like semaglutide. Retatrutide goes one step further. It targets 3.
I have 5 options for you. So just remember also...
In studies, people on the highest doses lost close to a third of their body weight.
This is set to be the biggest weight loss drug in history.
Retatrutide.
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 It's still being tested in clinical trials. It's not yet approved for sale anywhere. Outside the manufacturer's study, there is no legal way to get it.
For a person to lose 30% of their body weight is crazy. That can lead to some very, very serious health issues and some complications.
And yet, it's being offered everywhere, on websites, on TikTok, on gym and slimming WhatsApp groups, by social media sellers with no apparent medical training.
This is the one that I'm not going to mention.
One woman who doesn't want to be identified went looking for it herself.
About 4 years ago, I had a traumatic event, and I was put onto a form of antidepressants to help my body cope. But with that medication, I gained an incredible amount of weight, 30 kilograms. I also then became pre-diabetic.
Food noise never switched off for her.
No matter how much I ate, I was always starving. It was not a mental thing. It's not a lazy thing. It's a medical condition. It's like food is screaming at you, and someone has turned that volume up.
Semaglutide turned the volume down for a while, but after losing 10 kilos, her weight plateaued. Feeling stuck, she started looking for the next step. Tirzepatide didn't help her at all.
If you're a bodybuilder or just trying to look like one, Reta can be a secret weapon.
If you go into any gym in the country right now, everybody, all the gym bros, are talking about what peptide you want. I'm on this peptide. What peptide do you want?
But she didn't have to go that route. She got the unregistered medicine from her own GP who claimed to have had it tested, and it was the real deal. All she had to do was sign a waiver.
So I said, okay, what would the possible symptoms be? And he sort of said, very similar to semaglutide. You can get acid reflux, diarrhea. Some people say they're very nauseous. Some people can't sleep. There are gallbladder issues. You know, these are very serious issues. When someone says something is only in the research phase, you need to be cautious. And you need to think about the ramifications of that very carefully. I remember the moment I signed this disclaimer and I thought, this is not a vitamin. It's an experimental drug. It says for research purposes. It makes it look more legitimate.
Stavros Nicolaou works for Aspen, the company in South Africa that sells the legal version of tirzepatide under the brand name Mounjaro. But illegal versions are flooding the market.
We're picking up two sort of categories of unregistered medicines. They're combining semaglutide with tirzepatide. And then we're also picking up novel compounds that are, for example, in phase 3 studies.
And they're not coming into the country openly.
All these GLP-1 unregistered illegal medicines are either being bought in as cat food, okay, or as calcium. That's why SARS and Port Health are not necessarily detecting these, and they don't have the capacity to police them. Finding its way into gyms, beauty salons, and even compounded facilities.
The issue with legal medicines is their price. A month's worth of weight loss drugs can cost between 3,000 and 8,000 rand. And the medicines have to be taken lifelong. But with unregistered medicines, patients face two big unknowns: what's in the vial and what it can do to them.
Not only does the patient not know where they're getting this from, but they don't even know that it actually works until you complete these phase 3 studies. So it's a double whammy. It's illegal to sell any medicine unless it is registered. It's not like we've got visibility of a laboratory, that we know whether this is done under proper GMP, good manufacturing practice conditions. In many instances, you pick up contaminated product or product that is underdosed or overdosed, and then patients land up in ICU.
And because it's injected, it's more risky than a pill that first passes through your stomach.
An injection's proximity to your bloodstream is closer than an oral, and you risk bacterial contamination and other infection.
Pharmacy compounding is legal when a pharmacist makes a medicine that a doctor prescribes each month in small amounts for a specific patient. But making batches to sell widely crosses the line. It is also illegal to advertise GLP-1 medicines because they are Schedule 4 drugs, none of which can be advertised.
We're also very well aware that the companies that are unlawfully selling these medicines also tie these patients down to very onerous confidentiality arrangements, and they threaten to sue these patients. So patients are not readily coming out to make this disclosure. But what is important here is that SAHPRA, our medicines regulator in South Africa, has declared the mass compounding of GLP-1 products to be undesirable. They haven't yet taken the final step to outlaw them altogether. The United States FDA has done that. They've outlawed compounding of GLP-1 medicines, and so have the Australian authority, the TGA. The Europeans are looking at it at the moment. So there's good reason why you want to do that.
The GLP wilderness isn't only booming because people refuse to wait. It's gone viral because a real medical need has collided with shortages, hype, and unaffordable prices. Beth now uses only legal medications, but at a cost.
I mean, it's prohibitive. I mean, it's really expensive. A month that will cost 3,800 rand. So it's a lot.
Generics may bring prices down. Regulators may catch up. But for now, avoid the risk, says Dr. Tracy, who's proud of those patients who are upfront about being on Rita.
I say to them, thank you for disclosing that to me. But right now, I need you to be safe. Better does not mean better for you. Choose safety first. There is going to be a time where Retried is one of the things in my toolbox. So I don't want to tarnish the reputation because it's a fantastic medicine in the future.
So how are South Africans already using a drug that is still being tested? To find that out, we need to know what the drug does, why obesity is rising here, and why people feel the need to go the illegal route.
I would be incredibly uncomfortable taking something like that. You have no idea what the safety is.
Francois Venter is one of South Africa's leading public health researchers. He heads up Izintja, where they try to find solutions to health issues across Africa, from HIV to more recent epidemics like obesity. Francois, thanks for your time today. For someone who has never heard of retatrutide, or Reta in short, how would you describe what it does and what it consists of?
Everyone's heard about these wondrous obesity drugs. This one's different in the sense that it targets 3 different hormones. You know, everyone's heard about semaglutide. The sale name is Ozempic or Wegovy, and that one targets 1. Everyone's also heard about tirzepatide, which is Mounjaro is the trade name, and that targets 2 different hormones, and this one targets 3. It's been tested across the world at the moment. There's a lot of excitement about it, but it is still only an experimental drug.
What are these hormones? Are they hormones that prevent you from getting hungry?
So that's part of it. They're all around craving. And this is where the interest comes in. It's not simply hunger. They don't simply target the brain. They seem to target certainly the stomach, and there seems to be, these receptors operate across the body. So we are slowly gaining more and more experience in terms of how they work. And this is where the interest is also in, is that they're not simply anti-obesity drugs. They seem to be metabolically more active. They seem to be acting on the liver, on the kidney, potentially on a whole range of other organs where we might see benefits and potentially harms, I guess, which will unfold with time.
With Reta, let's focus on that. How is it possible for a drug to get sold? It's still being tested in trials.
It's all illegal. You know, I don't know what could be in those drugs. And I would be incredibly uncomfortable taking something like that. You have no idea what the safety is. And you've got safe options. You know, I don't understand the incredible drive for people to want to take something when you've got alternatives that are safe.
Don't you think price is the main driver? The legitimate drugs are just unaffordable.
I think it's a combination. People have been told, you know, simply diet and exercise. My profession has said that for years, and then also peddled all sorts of snake oil. I'm horrified often when I see what happens in GP and specialist practice, and it's just sold to people often at high prices. And we know that diet and exercise alone doesn't result in sustained weight loss. It's very important to say that eating well and being active is incredibly important for your health. We know that when people are overweight, that it's pretty much a thermostat, that to get that thermostat down is next to impossible. Your thermostat generally just moves upwards. It's the way your physiology is wired. There's a tiny percentage of people who can lose weight that way. But for the vast majority of us, our weight just steadily goes up. And we have decades of data to show this now. The good news, though, is if you do those things, these drugs actually work much, much better. But as you say, the cost is exorbitant. Even for wealthy people, it is insane. For the average South African, it's completely unaffordable. It's simply farmer greed and government just sitting on its hands. We have some incredibly good people within government who could be pushing this forward, and they've done an amazing job with ARVs. I don't understand why we're not pushing harder on this stuff.
You've mentioned side effects.
The common side effects are sort of nausea and just general discomfort, and that's relatively easily managed if your healthcare provider knows how to do it. You just modify what they're eating and how much they eat. The biggest mistake I see is people just don't drop how much they eat, and particularly Friday night suppers in certain communities. They go home and if you don't drop fairly dramatically how much you eat, you can end up vomiting in the car park. You really cannot eat the same quantity. You put on this weight over years, you want to lose it over years. And during that time, you need to be exercising, you need to be looking at your diet and stuff, and it's a nice big integrated approach.
So what happens when you stop using the medicine?
It comes straight back, and that is the bad news, is the weight comes straight back, and it comes back fast. And I think one of the things that we're worried about in the field is a lot of that weight comes back. So when you lose the weight, you lose mainly fat, but you also lose quite a lot of, about a third of it is muscle mass. If you stop the drugs, it almost is only fat that comes back. The muscle doesn't come back unless you're deliberately exercising. So it's not a good idea. This idea of microdosing or taking it for 6 months is not a good idea. You really need to commit yourself to taking it properly.
To get back to Rita, we've spoken about people being desperate for weight loss and for affordable weight loss drugs, but there are doctors who sell Rita. They know what's safe and what's not safe, and they still sell it.
It's not just doctors, it's pharmacists. I've seen nurses hand it like online, and it's not just Rita, it's Sema, it's tirzepatide, all these knockoff drugs, they're all illegal. Honestly,
the compounded forms of it.
Yeah, I don't understand why there aren't more active investigations around this. And they're openly selling this stuff, and it's they're not being prosecuted. The Health Professions Council should be prosecuting them. The Department of Health really needs to get involved here. And our private sector also needs to get involved and start taking charge and starting to think through, well, it's going to be complicated. There's a study in Nature, one of the top medical journals, in May, that suggested that obesity levels have peaked in rich countries and peaked at the obscene level, but is screaming up in all middle income and poorer countries. We haven't got to the worst of the epidemic. In South Africa's obesity epidemic is pretty grim. So we need to be planning for this. Our obesity epidemic is actually worse than the United States, and we haven't peaked yet.
But why is it worse?
I think a lot of it has to do with genetic predispositions, and we know that, for instance, Black women are particularly prone to weight gain and obesity. We also have a food supply that's not protected. We have this influx of fast food into the country that, again, hasn't been regulated. I mean, I see fast food chains being allowed into schools, and the education department just seems to think it's okay. That definitely needs some sort of government intervention. The influx of processed and ultra-processed food into our food supply, something needs to be done. In modern textbooks, obesity is called a chronic disease.
Francois, it seems like we're yet again at a place like we were with HIV treatment, or even the anti-HIV injection that we're going to roll out now, that we have the science, but we don't have the ways to get it to people.
It's a great analogy. I really do feel like it's 2001 all over again. We've got the drugs. We're in the midst of a revolution. These drugs are nothing short of marvelous, honestly. And I'm quite struck. I do feel exactly the same way when I used to hand out ARVs to people who were dying and watching them get back on their feet within a month or two, watching people melt away, who are motivated to lose their weight, who've done all the lifestyle stuff, just start losing weight, 10, 20, 30, 40 kilograms it's exactly the same revolution.
How far are we away from generics?
The semaglutide generics are going to come this year. It's unclear as to how quickly they're coming, also what the cost is going to be. And I think we need to be holding everyone accountable here. We need to see massive cost reductions in semaglutide. That's going to be a big step forward. And certainly if we do see those kind of price reductions, as I said, it costs 100 to 200 Rand to make at a big profit. That's the kind of thing I want to see happening. These generic companies must come in, and they must come in at significant cost reductions.
Thanks very much for your time today.
No, thank you.
You're watching Healthbeat. Dramatic weight loss contained in a vial that doesn't cost the earth. Sounds appealing, but do we know what's actually inside? We asked the CEO of SAHPRA, Dr. Boitumelo Semeti Makokotlela, what's legal, what's dangerous, and what people should do when they've bought an unregistered weight loss drug online. Tumi, thanks for your time today. Let's start off with the basics. What is an unregistered drug? What does that mean?
So an unregistered drug is a medicine that SAHPRA has not evaluated it for its safety, its quality, and its effectiveness. And typically they're not available in the country because no unregistered drug should be available in country.
Is SAHPRA worried about all the unregistered weight loss drugs?
Yeah, so we have a whistleblowing platform, and I think per week we get anything between 2 and 3 per week. And a lot of the complaints around, I know someone who has accessed this product, but they've not even gone to a doctor. There's a lot of unregistered products being marketed. We're getting a lot of complaints by the public that say, oh, on our WhatsApp group, someone has put, a picture of this product and they're marketing it. You cannot market or advertise a Schedule 4 product in South Africa. So if anyone in the public can access these GLP-1s over the counter, immediately it says it's an illegal product. No pharmacist would make this product available without a prescription from a doctor.
Now, the big question is, what do you do about these complaints?
We would send our inspectors to go to that facility and confiscate the products. In instances where there's an e-commerce platform, we would typically bring down the site. And that's a tough one to do, and we are working with the WHO and looking at a mechanism that can help us to pick up these sites quite easily and bring them down quite easily. I must say, it's turning out to be a big industry. You close down the one site today, another one emerges.
Does SAHPRA have social media messages that counter the misinformation?
So we don't do enough of that. I'll be the first to accept that. So one of our strategies is to increase capacity in what we call our market control function, where we've got a lot of inspectors going out to different facilities, inspecting them for compliance. We've got a 5-year plan that we've put in place. It has elements of resourcing the area. It also has elements of leveraging digital technologies to be able to identify these sites and then bring them down. It also has elements of strengthening our relationship with law enforcement agencies.
Let's talk about the dangers of using unregistered drugs. What could happen to people who use it? One of the drugs we've come across is retatrutide, which is not even in the market yet. It's still in trials. And how does that happen? Where do people get the recipe from?
There's 3 things with illegal drugs. Firstly, you won't even know whether retatrutide is indeed there. It claims that it is there, but you don't know. Because if it's a registered product, it will have a SAHPRA authorization that says, if it says it has 0.5 milligrams of retatrutide, then it is indeed there. The second thing, you don't know where it's manufactured. It could be in a facility where there's contaminants. If you look at the products that we've registered, we know exactly what's in the product, and it's indicated, if you're diabetic, this is what you need to do, etc. With these illegal products, you don't know what else is there. When someone manufactures, there may be certain levels of alcohol that exceed the trace limits. Some of the products degrade with time. So we've seen impurities that are at levels that are not to be tolerated. And so those impurities could have those side effects. So because they've not been evaluated, we then don't have adequate information.
Has SAHPRA analyzed or tested any of the products that you've confiscated?
So in the month of May, we have sent some samples to a lab to test. The one specific sample we found actually did not even contain the active. We're doing further tests on these samples.
So is SAHPRA planning a special drive?
We are. There's 2 drives in essence that we're planning. Identify manufacturers that produce illegal products. We will close those down and we will educate the public. We will have press conferences around those so that the public knows. But also the other drive is to engage with the healthcare practitioners. So we will be engaging with the HPCSA around the role of the regulator, when they need to report to us, what they must comply with, etc.
Until safe obesity treatment is affordable, there will always be those flogging untried and untested treatments without knowing or disclosing possible long-term effects. So how can safe obesity treatment be made easier to access in South Africa? Join our conversation on social media or email us at health@bikisisa.org. Go well and goodbye.